In the world of AI, clock speed and adaptability are the ultimate competitive advantages. Vivek Vaidya of Superset joins us to discuss the hands-on leadership required to shape the next generation of data-driven startups from the ground up.
The pace at which companies are getting built is changing. The types of problems that people are now able to solve with all these new technologies is leading to companies getting formed that were unimaginable even 2 years ago.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of our podcast, Leaders in Tech, where we're interviewing people in technology that are leading their teams to make this world a better place within their organizations. Today, we have with us Vivek Vaidya. Vivek, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, David.
This podcast is brought to you by ISU Corp. Are you having trouble with your software projects? Is there a project that's taking too long or a technology you can't handle? We can help. We are ISU Corp, experts in custom software since 2005. With almost 20 years of experience, we can solve any technical problem from new businesses to satellite software. We've done it all. Let us turn your ideas into reality. Learn more about how we can help by visiting us at www.isucorp.ca. Your solution starts here.
Vivek, you came very well recommended. For the audience, can you tell me your name, where do you live, and what do you do for a living?
Yeah, my name is Vivek Vaidya. I live in San Francisco, and I'm one of the general partners of a company builder studio called Superset.
Superset, what do you guys do there?
We found, fund, build, and scale data and AI startups.
Okay, wait. So you scale data AI startups?
Yeah. So we have it's a studio model. So we build startups from within the studio. We invest in them, we fund them, and we operate them as well. We also work with founders, entrepreneurs, and we get involved at the very, very early stages, and we actually help them build their companies from the ground up. So we're a company builder.
You're almost like an incubator? Would you call yourself that?
Yeah, it's people gravitate towards that term very quickly the moment I describe what we do. And incubators are great. Nothing against them, but incubators are like, well, here's some space, here's some coffee, and once a week, once in 2 weeks, we'll come and tell you everything everything you're doing wrong. But they don't actually help you build the company. We combine funding with hands-on support in product engineering, go-to-market, and operations to build durable companies from the ground up.
Vivek, that's a beautiful differentiator, and it's a very big differentiator. We actually had this idea. I was going to partner. This was back in 2016. I had a very good friend of mine in Houston, Texas, and we wanted to do something like exactly what you're mentioning. Yeah. We wanted to build a tech startup community where we will be the main investors. Yeah. We'll bring the companies and we will provide, all the mentorship that they needed to be successful, but also the networks. Mm-hmm. Because it's not only how to do business, but how do you go and sell? How do you pivot? How do you strategize? You have everything against you when you start a company. You know that, right?
100%. I think so. You're absolutely right. Even like starting at the very beginning, how do you identify real painful business problems and ensuring there is a compelling and repeatable path to revenue before you start to scale? That in and of itself is a challenge, like at the very, very beginning. Yeah. So that's why we prefer. And we've largely stuck to this model. We either build the companies ourselves from scratch. We are the founders and we start writing code. We start talking to customers, etc. Or we get involved at the very, very beginning. So this is pre-seed, even before an idea takes shape. There are companies we've started with co-founders where they've come to us and said, we'd like to build a company in this space. We don't know what, but we just want to build a company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's very early.
very early, yes. And so we're company builders, so we like that. Actually, that's our preferred model, because then we can shape the idea, we can shape the product strategy, talk about how to grow, what kind of people to hire, how to stage and sequence the build out. We can do all of those things which we like doing, without there being any consternation or confusion as to, well, why are you getting involved? You're just the investor. We don't want any of that tension in our model.
So how do you do the selection process? Who do you get into your ecosystem?
Yeah, look, I mean, first you need to have passion about building something. You need to have what we call founder market fit. Like, for example, if I were to come to Superset as an entrepreneur or founder, and I would say to Superset, hey, I want to build a company that's building better batteries for the digital or self-driving car revolution. There's no founder market fit. I don't know anything about batteries, right? So when you come and pitch to us, or when you talk about building a company in a particular industry vertical or domain or whatever, you need to have some experience in that domain. There needs to be founder market fit. Why you? Why you are the right person to build a company in this vertical? And then from there, why are you the right person to solve this particular problem in this industry vertical and domain? So that's just founder market fit. The other thing we look for is how quick are you on your feet? Company building is all about learning quickly, adapting to change, reacting to new information, whatnot. So we have jam sessions with prospective co-founders where we invite them into our office. We give them a blank whiteboard and we start jamming on different ideas, testing hypotheses, going back and forth. So there needs to be certain element of clock speed and the ability to think on your feet, which by and large you need to have as a founder, whether you're working with Superset or not. And then finally, I'll say, David, is resilience and grit. Do you have a track record of dealing with hard things? Have you overcome adversity, whether it's in personal life or professional life? What hard problems have you solved? What approaches do you take to solve these problems? So that all of that goes into the assessment. And then finally, do you have passion? Do you have passion for solving these problems? Do you bring that right kind of energy to the problem or the company build out? Those are some of the things that we look for, David.
And that's a great filter, right? Especially the being able to have the experience to go through hard things. I think there is nothing better than entrepreneurship to really build your soul, right? And build your character and get tough, because this life is not easy. This life is tough. And the faster you face those giants, the more successful you're going to become, right?
Yeah. No, I think it's my co-founder Tom likes to say, as entrepreneurs and founders, we're expected to make rational business decisions. But if we were making rational business decision, we wouldn't start a company. That's not a rational decision, right? Because you go through so much ups and downs. You go through so much. There's the elation of success, and there's a despair of failure, and sometimes that can happen multiple times in a day.
Yeah.
Actually, so you need to be resilient.
And you know what? And what happens with that, at least in my personal opinion, is that, including myself, the people that I know that are successful at business, especially tech business, because it's even different, right? Like business enough is hard enough, but a tech-based company is 10 times harder. Is people think, oh, it's the industry of the multimillionaires. The competition is so fierce and the market is so polluted and it's crazy, right? But at the end of the day, once you pass through those processes, what you build is, your emotions become very strong, meaning you are in complete control of your emotions. You don't get overexcited when you make a breakthrough, and you also don't get super down when something fails, right? You get this sense of controlling your life in a much better way. That's the outcome after going through all this, right?
Yeah, but you're 100% right. But it doesn't happen overnight. Like
Oh,
when you, especially when you're doing it for the first time, you're not prepared. A lot of people, they see the movies and the TV shows and they're like, oh, it's just like all night hackathons where you're drinking beer and just coding away and just magically overnight success happens. It's not like that, of course, right? And so you learn it the hard way that you need to. And actually, this is what in fact, I was having a conversation yesterday where somebody was asking me for advice. And one of the things I said to them was, look, you need to develop your own system for filtering out the noise, because there's so much noise. To your point about maintaining an even keel, there's so much noise and hype. And you read people do such a good job of marketing themselves on LinkedIn. And if you just get stuck in that, there's no way you're going to come out of it, right? So you really need to learn how to keep an even keel, keep things in an even keel, and not get distracted by the ups and downs and all of that's going on. To your point about technology companies being hard, I always say, building technology is easy. Like, if you tell me a problem, of course I can write code to solve it, right? That's not hard, especially these days. It's become even easier. But building companies is hard because there's so many things not in your control that you have to deal with. And people are number one on that list. Like, in order to build a big company, you have to get results through people. And that's easier said than done.
it's
Yeah.
true. And yeah, I think the tech side, you're right. Even though sometimes it gets very complicated, depending what you're trying to solve, it's something that at least you can manage, right? You can control. And if you're a tech person, well, this is called leaders in tech, right? If you're a tech person, you're passionate about solving. You're passionate about researching. You're passionate about pushing the envelope and defining these new AI agents and getting all the latest and greatest. And that's good, right? That's of course that's the product development side. But how about the business development side, the people side? That's the hardest part, right?
And because you're dealing with different personalities, different people in different functions. They have different priorities. People at their different stages of their career, they have different priorities in terms of where they want to go, how they want their careers to grow, what their ambitions are. All managing all of that is, anyway, easier said than done.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been doing this?
So we started Superset in early 2019. Some quick background. My co-founder at Superset, Tom Chavez, and we've been working together for the last 26 years. He was the co-founder and CEO of a company called Wrapped, where I was the first engineer. Then I became the CTO. Wrapped was acquired by Microsoft in early 2008. We spent about a year and change at Microsoft. And then late 2009, early 2010, we started a company called Crux, which was a data management platform for media platforms and brands. And Crux was acquired by Salesforce in November 2016. And so after Crux got acquired, I became the CTO of Salesforce Marketing Cloud. I stayed there for about 2 years or so. And then I left. And then Tom and we were both very passionate about company building. We wondered to ourselves, hey, couldn't there be more than one company? And therefore, Superset, as a result, Superset was born. And we officially launched with the fund, etc., in April of 2019. And we've been building companies ever since.
Vivek, that's why people think it's easy. You sounded that this is a walk in the park. Yes, we built a company together. We sold it to Microsoft. Then we built another one. We sold it to Salesforce. It's so nice and beautiful. It is the hardest for people to know. 90% of the companies never get sold.
Correct.
90%.
Yeah.
Right? And businesses that are created, by the time they are 2 years old, I think it's about 80% they are bankrupt. The company that make it to 10 years, they're like unicorns, right?
Yes. Well, and it's funny. You're right. Like when I tell the story, like, oh yeah, it's just like, oh, I went to the coffee. I woke up in the morning, went to get a cup of coffee, and then went have brunch. And yeah, magic happened. No, it's funny. I'll tell you a funny story. When we were building Crux, it was a 6 year, six year build out, and there were many days where Tom and I would look at each other in the office and ask one person would ask the other, is it a sell it day or a keep it day? Meaning that there were so many days that were hard, really, really hard. And you're like, why am I doing this again? And should I just sell it? And then of course there were days when things were going well and we had success. And so we were like, oh yeah, this is a keep it day. Right. So yeah, you only, when you tell the story, you only narrate the beginning and the end. You seldom do you get to narrate all the hard work that goes into the middle. And trust me, there was a lot of stress. Let's just call it that along the way.
So the first company, how did you guys meet? He had the idea of what did you guys do on the first business, the one that you sold to Microsoft?
Yeah, so it's a good story actually. So Tom was one of the founders and he had two other founders. And the original idea was we were building what today would be considered AI. At the time, we were just doing optimization for supply chain, inventory management, and pricing. So we were selling to high-tech manufacturing companies like Sun and HP and Seagate, Intel, Apple. We were selling them optimization technology for pricing and inventory management. So I joined as the first engineer at that company, and in 2001, when the dot-com bubble burst, high-tech manufacturers, everybody stopped buying software, and so we had to pivot, and we pivoted. I'm keeping it short. We pivoted to display advertising, and we applied the same pricing technology to solve Yahoo and MSN and AOL and New York Times, all these media companies solve their inventory ad pricing problem. And then we built up a whole suite of monetization tools, one for inventory management, one for insights and analytics. We called it yield analytics. And so that was the company that was acquired by Microsoft.
So after the pivot, imagine if you would have had the problem with the dot-com crash, you wouldn't have pivoted and maybe you wouldn't be able to sell the company.
So, correct. Yeah. So again, back to things that are not in your control. That was not in our control, but how we reacted and adapted was in our control. And I think we did a good job. In fact, Business Insider wrote an article about the 15 greatest pivots. It was a long time ago. And Wrapped was one of them. Actually, we were pleasantly surprised and humbled for our name to be on that list. But it was a hard right turn from high-tech manufacturing to display advertising, two domains that are completely different. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. What kept you going? Were you partner on that first enterprise too, or just an employee?
I was just an employee, but by the time, look, it was a small company, right? So so everybody feels ownership and all of that. I wasn't in the boardroom, so I wasn't as familiar or privy to the discussions that were happening as to how to keep the company alive or floating or whatever. My job was to make sure that we built a good product and we kept happy customers, which is what I think I did. But it was hard. It was hard for a decent period of time where we were doing something new, and until you get to a certain escape velocity, until you achieve escape velocity, it's just hard. But once we found product market fit and we got to a point where publishers and media companies realized, oh yeah, we need this, then things became much easier.
Yeah.
But look, we got acquired in April 2008. 4 months before, the financial crisis.
My God, yes. That wouldn't have happened either.
Exactly, right? And so that orchestrating all of that and managing through that, seeing that, you can call it luck, you can call it foresight, you can call it planning. It was a combination of all three, for sure. But yeah, we got out actually at the right time. Otherwise, who knows? You and I wouldn't be having this conversation probably.
It's way too many things to call it coincidence, right? Like I'm a believer. I'm a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ, and the Bible says in Psalm 139 that there is a book reading about your life. Every day of your life has been reading a book, because God simply is outside of space and time, because the Creator has control over the creation, right? So when I see stories like you, I'm like, it's impossible. I'm like, how can it be that you sold the business just before the crash happened, right? How it is that you guys, why do you choose to pivot? Of course, you have your intellect, and you have, and your emotions were in control, and you had the desire and the energy. But imagine that how many stories I hear that they were about to sell, but the crash happened and they couldn't sell, and they went bankrupt.
Well, yeah, and look, whether it's fate, coincidence, luck, exquisite thing on our part, or somebody up there who has a big plan that we don't know about, right? Maybe it's all of those things. Who knows? But I just attribute it to a combination of hard work, luck, and an X factor, which nobody has any information about.
And also you have to have that the ideas, right? Like, why pivot into advertising online when you guys were doing inventory management and optimization? It's like completely different.
Yeah, no, and that's where I do credit. I will take, or I think we should, Tom, we should take some credit, a lot of credit actually, because it's one thing to say, yeah, we were doing this and we can keep doing that. It's all rather than to say, okay, that's not working, so this new opportunity is coming in, and I'm going to pounce on it. I see where the puck is headed, and I want to make a bet, and I'm going to marshal all of my resources and energies to make sure that we are successful in this one new area. So that's just like what a decision making and execution, and
a lot of
exactly.
So you guys get bought out. Now you're working at Microsoft. How was that change? Because I know that sometimes it's not pretty easy, right?
It was hard, actually. And look, we're grateful, of course, to Microsoft. And we met some interesting people there. The funny story is, after the financial crisis, every company, big or small, went through layoffs. In January 2009, Microsoft had its first ever layoff in its history. And I found out that there were going to be another round of layoffs in May. And our group was going to get affected. So I went up to my boss and I said, please get me on the list. I would like to be laid off. Because to your point, like Microsoft, this was during the time of Steve Ballmer. Microsoft is a very different company right now than it was in 2008, 2009.
The Ballmer was bold.
Yeah, and it was hard, David. It was really hard especially for someone like Rap, us coming in. We were the company that was acquired, and there was such imperiousness in Microsoft that it was very hard to collaborate and work with them. In fact, I recall one moment where my boss's boss was the corporate vice president. He was like the person who headed up all of engineering, program management, and testing and all of that for the online advertising group. So I was in a meeting. I was in Redmond. I was still we didn't relocate. We were still in San Francisco. So I had gone to Redmond for a visit. I attended this one meeting in person, which was his extended staff meeting. My boss was supposed to attend HeatCon, so I went in his place. And in the meeting, this CVP said something, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. So I asked a question. I said, "What makes you say that?" And I was immediately told to not ask any questions by the person sitting next to me. And I was like, what's all this? Like, I can't ask any questions. Like, nope, we don't ask any questions. And that's when I decided that this was not the place for me.
Good culture fit, right?
Yeah. So,
No, especially when you come from a startup environment, going to a huge corporation like that. I mean, they behave completely different because it's a lot slower for a big corporation to move than for a tiny startup. It's comparing a mouse with an elephant, right? It's a completely different environment. Not to say that they are wrong or right. They are right in their own. Well, look how they are doing now in the stock market. They're doing amazing, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning of my entrepreneurship career, I was being recruited at Microsoft. So when I decided to open my software consulting firm in 2005, few months before, I was already getting groomed to go to move to Redmond. They were going to move my family and myself. Like I was going through that process, that long process of getting hired.
Yeah.
I was a senior, software manager back then. And I remember sitting with my wife and making that choice. What do we do? Do we move to Redmond and work for Microsoft, or do we create our own startup? And I chose the startup and I thank God I did, because I wouldn't have survived. I mean, I came from the corporate world, like, my jobs, like one of my experiences was working for the largest telecom company in Canada. And it's like, thousands and thousands of employees. So I kind of knew the environment, but I have this startup mentality in my heart, and you need to have that. By the way, if you're running your this amazing ecosystem, it's because you love starting up companies, you love growing businesses, right?
Yeah.
And that's a different mindset that's from somebody that wants to become a corporate employee, and it's fine. Both of them are fine. Just different types of people.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm so glad I went the startup way, and here I am, 20 years later, we're still thriving in our business.
No, of course. It's not for everyone, but if you're the type of person who relishes autonomy and solving problems, moving fast, then big companies, then startups are good for you. Like and you're okay with ambiguity, you're okay with chaos. It doesn't bother you. You in fact embrace it. For me, like the second company, Salesforce acquired us. It was a great company. I loved my time there. But ultimately, I left because it was just slow. Decision making was slow, and there were too many people involved. And of course, there's some, when you get to the state that Salesforce is at, there's bound to be some politics and all of that. And I didn't feel like I wanted to spend my time fighting all that. I could have if I wanted to, but as there's only 24 hours in a day, do I really want to spend my time doing that, or building something from scratch all over again? I chose the latter.
And it turned out that it's beautiful, because you guys work together with your partner already, and you did it twice already. So this is the third time. Of course, it's going to work out, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, the jury's still out on whether it's working out or not. We're having a lot of fun. And you do get to a point after you work together for such a long time where you know what the other person's going to say, think, and how to leverage each other's strengths, and create an environment where a lot of other people can come in and do amazing things as well, which is what we have tried to do at Superset.
That's beautiful. Superset. Why the name?
So, both Tom and I are math geeks. We have mathematics backgrounds and stuff, and so Superset is, in mathematical terms, is a set of all sets. And so for us, each set was a company, and so Superset is the umbrella that. So we're the set of all sets. So we're like the umbrella around all our portfolio companies. That was the idea.
That's beautiful. So what's the company that is doing the best right now through all of these years?
Well, all companies are, first, we love all of our companies equally. They're all at different stages, and mm, they all have their own growth trajectories and challenges and all of that. We have had one success. We had one acquisition last year in January, February. One of our earlier companies, Habu, got acquired by LiveRamp in the ad tech space. So we're lucky again to have had that experience, and we've had one exit. No, look, our companies are all in different stages. Some are past Series B, some are just about to raise Series A, some are just getting started. So different stages, solving different problems, and all that. So
It must be fun, right? Especially, I must imagine that you get a lot of younger people, right?
yeah, it's fun along multiple dimensions. One, we get to, depending on, like, I can't work on all the companies. I work with 3 or 4, depending how you count. But yeah, you get to work with different personalities, different types of people, different backgrounds, different ideas, different problems. I like the diversity. I like the context switching. It was a big challenge in the beginning when we started, like context switching when you were going from company A to company B. But now I've developed a system, and I enjoy it a lot, actually. In fact, the days when I just focus on one company are boring, actually.
You're welcome to my world. Why do you think I opened a software consulting firm? I realized that every 2 years I was jumping jobs because I got bored. So I will get into a job, automate the heck out of it. And then once I had nothing else to do, I got so bored, I will jump to another job. So I said to myself, hey, what if I work for multiple companies? And the minute I did that, I never looked back because I have never had a boring day in my life since then. Right?
For sure.
Vivek, what's in the future for you guys? What do you see? How do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Ooh, that's an excellent question, David. And if you talk to people who know me, they'll tell you that I am not the kind of person who makes these kinds of, where will you be 5 years from now, or what's going to make a prediction for. I don't do that. I'll tell you this though. Look, the way in which companies are getting built is changing. The pace at which companies are getting built is changing. The types of problems that people are now able to solve with all these new technologies is leading to companies getting formed that were unimaginable even 2 years ago, right? So the next 5 years for us, I'm expecting there to be a lot more innovation where we're solving problems that we hadn't thought were even conceivable 2 years ago. I'm expecting that in the next 5 years, we scale the studio. We bring in more partners. We were able to diversify the types of opportunities we're able to pursue, because we bring in partners who have expertise in different domains and are complementary to ours. So I expect us to operate in more diverse domains. International is, we tried the international thing a little bit with India and with Israel. It kind of sort of worked, but I think if we have to get access to problems and talent pool, we have to go global. So that's another vector I think that we will pursue earnestly in the next, if you're saying a 5-year horizon, definitely, for sure. Yeah, those are some of the things that are in stock for us in the next 5 years, David.
So it almost sounds like you finally found you guys your niche, right? Because now you have a company that builds companies. So you're not looking to sell, you're not looking to get acquired. Your companies need to get acquired.
Right. That's right.
That's fabulous, right?
Yeah.
Vivek, how did the pandemic affected you guys? Because you were brand new, 1 year old, and then everything shuts down in March 2020. What's happened then?
It's an excellent question, actually. And look, I'll speak from I'll make it personal, actually. I struggled. during the pandemic, right? Because the whole remote work, adapting to remote work, I still find it challenging. And of course, the business kind of took a little bit of a hit because everybody was figuring out how to react and all of that. But for us, the transition to fully remote, then hybrid remote, what kind of a company do we want to be? Letting, to your point about where Superset and there are companies, letting companies decide for themselves. It was hard. Like all of that was hard for us. I still we're in the office 4 or 5 days a week now. And we have a very nice office. A lot of companies are coming into the office 2-3 days a week. I find remote work very hard.
Yeah.
If I'm working on something by myself, then I actually prefer to be at home, to tell you the truth, because I need the focus time and it's great. I used to do that even before the pandemic. But for collaboration, that's where things hit us the most, because the nature of our work is so collaborative, right? Collaboration over Zoom and Google Meet or whatever was just hard. And in the last 5 years, because it's been almost 5 years since the pandemic started, the tooling has evolved significantly. But even then, collaboration using these remote working tools is hard. And especially for us, where we're ideating and forming and storming, it was even harder. So that hurt us the most. That's where the pandemic hurt us the most, is collaboration for us, which was a core tenet of how we operated. That took a big hit.
No, it was horrible, right? For us, when I built the company, I built it with the mindset of having a remote workforce since 2005. My first 2 developers were one in Costa Rica, one in Argentina, and 2 guys in Canada. So I had the culture, but to build a remote culture, to your point, is very hard. I don't know how I managed. Honestly, it was the blessing of the Lord, because what I did is I was doing trips and trying to get people together, doing culture building exercises, which is expensive. But because I wasn't paying for an office, that will actually offset all these other activities. But building a culture remotely has been one of the hardest things I ever had to do, and we're still remote. Now I am even my studio is from home, because I always had a head office where all the seniors will come, 10, 15 people will come. But after the pandemic, 2-3 people were showing up. So I'm like, okay, why am I doing this? So I just moved my office to the basement of my house, and now we're 100% remote still, and I still don't like it. To your point, we still have to get together if we want to do some brainstorming sessions, or celebrate, or even celebrating birthdays, building the community and building rapport with your peers. We are social beings, right?
No, I'll give you a very simple example, right? To your point about celebrating birthdays and whatnot, right? If you want to do something social and fun, and you're doing it remotely, what do? Everybody gets on a Google Meet, and you're like, oh, look, I'm having my coffee. Hey, how's it going? That's just not, human beings don't build relationships like that.
Right.
It's easy to do that if you already have a relationship. But if you're building a relationship, then doing it in person is the best way to do it. Because body language, human beings communicate so much through body language and our expressions, and a lot of that gets hidden when you're just in 2D. So that's,
it's incredible. But hey, we survived and we're here now. We're back to the office, right?
That's right.
David, thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. I wish you the very best, and make sure that you keep having that great feelings and the stamina and the intelligence to pivot as you grow and you prosper with Superset.
Thank you, David. It was lovely conversation. Thank you for having me as a guest, and best of luck to you as well.
Sounds good. Have a beautiful week. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leaders in Tech podcast. Check in next week to keep learning how to use technology and leadership to change the game. See you next time.